Hey friends, I just want to talk to you a little bit about how to be an empowered learner and what that means, and how I'm actually kind of excited because I feel like because of this whole situation, I think we actually have a really great opportunity to really have to actively practice this, which I think is kind of cool because we don't always get that opportunity. Um, so, one part about being an empowered learner is that I think is the best for you long term is that it helps you become a lifelong learner. It helps it so that what that means is that you're someone who is always trying to learn new things and is actively trying to figure out more and is just kind of curious about the world and how it works and how things interact with each other, which is really cool. Um, that would my the biggest gift I think any teacher could give their students is the courage to be a lifelong learner. So I hope that you um, start maybe feeling a little more empowered to do that right now. Some things that I think are important to being a lifelong learner is figuring out how you're going to take steps to learn things kind of on your own. So the first thing I always do when I'm trying to figure out something is I experiment. Especially when I'm on technology, I'm like, hey, like, well, if I just look around, maybe I'll figure it out. And sometimes I figure it out right away, and other times I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what's going on. So then I have to look for more help. So then the next thing I do is I Google it or Bing it or whatever search engine you use. Um, yeah, I Google it, look at YouTube videos, see if there's anyone else who's already asked the question and had it answered. Yeah, that usually honestly gets me the answer. It usually doesn't take much more than that. However, sometimes I need a little more help. So if you get to this point, one thing you can do is just specifically look through your teacher or my website, um, just to see like, oh, is there anything specifically on here? Did I miss an instruction? Reread the instructions. That's usually, I know I mess that up all the time. I'm like, oh, I wasn't reading it right. That's probably why I was confused. But yeah, then you can ask your teacher. The reason I say wait until then is because I'll tell you right now, if every single kid just didn't read the directions and I had to tell every single kid again what it was, I wouldn't be able to answer everyone's emails because it's just not possible. Um, though, if you check first and see if it's there, um, and you do find it, then you've saved yourself an email. And I don't like writing emails. I'm sure you don't either. Um, and then ask the teacher though if you're still stuck because the teacher I'm sure would be happy to help you. Um, but it's good if you're able to figure that out first because that empowers you more and makes you feel more like you have control of your learning. I usually wait to ask family members until after I've talked to my teacher, um, because sometimes your family members don't know, and that's okay. I know when I was in school, I learned things a lot differently than I even teach you guys. And then I know that I learned way differently than my parents did. So some things that were there's just some disconnect, and that's okay because we can learn from each other. But I want to make sure that you are able to ask them if you think that they can help. But if they can't help, please just reach out to me. I think that I can help you for 99% of our problems. Another way you can be an empowered learner is just by participating, just making sure that you're um, a part of the conversation and seeing what other people are doing, um, and you're asking questions and you're engaging with others. I think that's a huge way to make yourself feel like, okay, like I'm a part of this learning and I'm a part of this learning adventure. And that's a really good feeling to have. Um, Ask questions. I ask questions in my regular day life all the time. So um, I know in elementary school they do like the I wonders, like the T chart, and then you write down like all the things you wonder just by looking at a picture. I do that in my everyday life all the time. I bet my friends would laugh at me because they'd be like, if they ever saw this, because they'd be like, oh, you totally do say like randomly like, oh, I wonder what happens if this goes on here, or I wonder what happens if all of the lights like became stop signs or just things like that. I just ask really random questions. But yeah, being able to ask your own questions, like, and not be guided by a teacher asking you the questions is a pretty cool thing to do. Experiment. I think I already talked about this, but it's really good if you just try things out and see if they work. And if they don't, then usually you can fix it. And if not, then we'll figure it out. We'll be fine. But I think experimenting and seeing what works and what doesn't is a good way for you to learn, because you're probably going to learn from your mistakes better than you're going to learn from anything else. I know that's the best way I learn, unfortunately, but we're just wired that way. But yeah, I just think that this is such a cool opportunity for us to be at home learning by ourselves, kind of. Like, you have support, obviously. You have me, you have your other teachers, you have your fellow classmates, your family. But I think it's really cool that we have this time to kind of learn what kind of learners we are and kind of take learning into our own hands. So I hope that you use this time to do that and engage in the material of your classes. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So, all right, I think that's all I have for today. Hope you guys have a good one, and you'll be here very soon. All right, bye.